Welcome everyone to the Daily News Rock Show on Rockers Edge Radio and chaoticradio.com as well. Today we are speaking with singer, frontman, guitarist Dave Look and drummer producer Darren Fitz of the hard American metal band Look. How are you guys doing today? How are you rocking out?
Loving it, kicking ass, happy to be here and be alive.
How are you doing, Darren?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Now we are here to speak about their new album. They have a new album, 13-song album called Attrition, and that just released, just dropped January 2021. So it's very recent. It came out recently, and we're going to be featuring, we're not actually going to be featuring a song from that album itself. We are going to be talking about it, but we're going to be featuring a new one. We're going to be featuring like a single soundtrack, Burn Me to Gray. So we're going to be featuring something new for everybody on Rockers Edge Radio today. So now I want to get into about that. Now, recently, I know that Attrition is your debut album and that you guys formed just recently in September of 2019. However, you guys you're a trio, so we are missing somebody today. So can you tell us who the third person is who we're missing, and then kind of give us a little bit of background information about the both of you, because you guys have also had your own experience in the music industry and stuff before you guys came together. So can you give us a little bit of information about that and how you guys did come together before, we can get into the music?
All right. You want to start, Dave, or you want me?
We'll talk about how we came together, and then we'll let you talk about Eddie for a second.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, we came together in 2019. I didn't know these guys. They were total strangers to me, and I got it in my head that I wanted to do a record. So I went out seeking musicians online to work with. And I'll be really honest, I might have tried to talk to a couple of people before I ran into Darren, but he was the first drummer that actually responded and talked to me. And that just sealed history. And he agreed to work with me tentatively. He is in another band called the Noctambulant. They are very successful with melodic black metal. And so anything that they took away from their band to help me is considered a triple sacrifice. So just got lucky, met him online, and he brought his friend Eddie Helvetti into the group, who is the lead guitar player and singer for the Noctambulant, but in the Look band, he is the bass player. So we formed through the virus. Virus slowed these guys down just enough to allow me to catch in with them. Greatest thing that ever happened to me, and just me, okay? It tore my family apart. It tore a lot of families apart. It did a lot of damage, but it also did some things that were not damage. And we are one of those things.
Right. So I understand that, there's a little yin and a yang in there in everything, so tell us a little bit more, Darren. So Dave tells us that you have a little bit more information about Eddie. So give us a little bit more background information about that.
Well, of course, me and Eddie, we play in another band that we started years ago. We've toured and recorded albums and stuff together. So when Dave approached me to help him with his music, I said sure. And so as things developed, we didn't use a bass player at first. We just kind of started developing, I guess, the sound, the feel, how things were going, getting to know each other as musicians. As songs started progressing, then he was like, we need to find a bass player. And I said, well, Eddie is, is a professional player. He's trained. So why don't we bring him in and he can put bass down on this stuff to bring that, that mortar that we needed to bring it all together. So he's, like I said, he's also a classically trained trumpet player. He comes from a background of orchestra players. His parents were in the Jacksonville Orchestra for years, and so he brings a lot of that, more of the technical, educated side to the sound. And he takes what Dave does and what I do and puts it all together, makes it work real well.
Nice, very, very nice. And again, that's why I wanted to make sure that you brought some information, just so that, because we're missing one of the members, one of your trios here, so that, people know a little bit about him as well and his information. So as we find out information about you guys, as well, so that's fantastic. Now,
Oh,
when
yeah.
you guys do that, was it easier? Like, Dave was talking to me earlier about, how you guys came together, kind of like it's hard to get, because of course the pandemic did so much damage to so many people and so many lives. And it's not that, it's being downplayed or anything like that, but kind of have you mentioned something in a way came out good for you in this manner, because there, like I said, there's a little yin and a yang in everything. So where
Right.
there's an up, there's a down, where there's a good, there's a bad, so
Oh,
there's
yeah.
something. So you got a little good. So it turned out because of this pandemic is what actually formed the band Look. Correct. So I mean,
Yeah,
tell
it
us,
helped facilitate it for sure.
yeah. So
Yeah.
tell us about you guys coming together. Tell us your little story about that. Let people out there that are listening in on Rockers Edge Radio and Chaotic Radio know a little more about you. Because I mean, that's the whole purpose of the Dylan News Rock, to bring in new, not just the music, but to find out some news about the people behind the music that's that they're listening to, because then it makes it more
Right.
personable.
Sure. He when we first started putting the songs together, he was sending me, guitar tracks, and I was putting drums to him, and then to send it back, and we kind of went back and forth like that quite a bit. And then eventually we started kind of developing a sound. He started having a particular sound. It started gelling. The drums that I was producing for him was working really well. He was happy with it, and we started developing. It didn't start right away. I would say probably 3 or 4 months. And like you said, the pandemic did. I guess it kind of kept me from being able to tour and do other stuff with the other band. But at the same time, I would have still worked with him in between all that and made it happen. The pandemic made it work just even faster to where we could get these songs together. Which once we started, that first song that really snapped, that really started hitting, which I would say is like Gangster Zen, which was on Attrition. That was the first song that really kind of, we went back and forth and just started. We were like, okay, I think we figured out the secret sauce to this. So we started working there, and from my side, he started sending me music that we just started putting together, and then he says, we're ready for some bass. I said, sure, yeah, it needs it. So we got Eddie involved, and then the songs just started to develop from there. And he picked, we had way more than 13. Actually, I think he had about 16 or 17, but he chopped the ones that he didn't like and just brought it down to the 13. And we went with that. And, I think they all came out real well. They all have their own style, because they're not all recorded. Like, we went into a studio, recorded it for a week, and we're done. So they all kind of have their own little, because they're recorded at different times. So the drums and everything changes, because, one song was done in May, man, the next one was done in June. And so but they come together and create a nice, I guess, just a nice journey through the album, I think. And, I don't know how Dave feels about that, but yeah, I think he's happy with it.
I love it, man. I love that record. It's probably going to remain a little underrated in some people's opinion, but it's pretty good for a rookie debut from a guy that's never done anything like that. I think we did pretty good. You guys, their experience is infinitely valuable to me. I was made very confident and very comfortable knowing that these guys have so much rock solid experience. I mean, I've never performed live since I was a teenager. So when we go step out in November, hopefully, and do our debut live, I mean, it's like losing, it's just your first shot at that. So these guys, it won't be, that right there is going to bleed into me. It's just a beautiful thing. I just want to stress that it was never really intended to become a band. In the beginning, I believe it was intended for these guys to just work with me. But as time went by, like he said, things sort of clicked as friends a little bit, and I never showed a problem. I never became abrasive in any way to their situation, and I think that was the key. No one wants to be invaded. No one wants to feel invaded, and I never came with that, and they never felt that. So now it's an official side band, and I think it was cool. Put two pokers in the fire, show a different side of yourself. Their music is extremely heavy. Probably heavier than anything I'll ever do, which is just my hat's off. But I give them another outlet, maybe not quite as heavy, but heavy in its own way.
Yeah,
You know,
you're
and
pretty, you
yeah.
got some stuff going on. It's not that light.
But
Thanks,
I
D.
mean, at the same time, it's nice to also hear at the same time, somebody who's trying to be, make sure that they're humbling themselves in the fact that, that you are able to work with these people of these caliber, that you feel that you weren't at that caliber yet, but because of that, you're getting the experience and the learning that so many would not get, so many are not going to have that option to get, yet you are given that option. So I understand the gratitude and what you mean by that. But yeah, at the same time, Darren's, I've listened to the music. I've seen what you got going on, I've heard this, your voice and everything, and I've seen that you go online and you talk to your fans as well, and you'll play just little songs here and there, do little acoustic versions here and there, talk to people. So you would definitely have your own persona. You have that image yourself that you can carry yourself very well. So, having, being the front man on that, you do have to be able to have that persona because you do have to carry the band as the front man. It might be a little side project for you, but in the end, once you get on stage, you're not a side project, you're the band. You're the
Awesome.
entertainment,
I
right?
can't wait. I can't wait. I'm going to go off like an atom bomb.
So
He's
yeah,
been
no,
kept
and I
me for
think it's
so
great.
long. It's going to be scary when I go off. I promise.
Just
I
so
mean, you're
everybody
looking at
knows,
a guy
right?
that's
Bring your
been in prison
shields.
for so many years. My energy wants out so bad, and these guys help facilitate that. And I go back to Eddie, who is also a front man, and he's just so powerful. When I studied their music videos and I see how he is, his persona, I can't wait that me and him will be standing side by side. It's almost like dual frontmen, even though he might not be carrying the vocal load, I know he's going to bring it. And I just think that's so awesome.
Yeah, and when you click with somebody, that's what makes it. That's what makes the band. When you really can click with somebody and people and really work together, and the music, sounds fantastic. I mean, it is very heavy. And for people just tuning in, once again, you're listening to the Dylan Hughes Rock Show on Rockers Edge Radio and Chaotic Radio, and we are speaking with frontman, vocalist, guitarist Dave Look and drummer producer Darren Fitz of the American hard-hitting metal band Look. So, I mean, they say they don't really have a particular category that they fall into, but I mean, anybody that likes hard music, if you listen to Rockers Edge Radio, you kind of already know that's what we like to play. We play a compilation of different types of music, make no mistake. We love everything, but we are in very much that hard music. We like to, put out that new music, hard music, because we know we have listeners that love that. So, and you guys are like right up the alley for that, for our listeners with the music that you guys have. And now on the this debut album, Attrition, you got 13 songs on it. A lot of them are really hard hitting as well. You do have some that kind of go into that little melodic, sound, including the one that we're going to be featuring, Burn Me to Gray. Now, before we get into featuring the song, I do want to play that. And I always like to ask a little background information about that, because at the same time, this is not one that is on the debut album, Attrition. This is just like a separate soundtrack. Why is that in the first place? Why is this not featured on that? I mean, it's a beautiful song.
Well, we're back in the studio right now, recording our follow-up EP, which is going to have 5 songs. It's called Premonitions.
Okay.
In the same vein, but different. And it's, I was coached by an industry legend, Michael Anthony Alago, and he told me that I needed to try to steer the sound a little more in the direction of radio so that I could achieve a recording contract if that's what I wanted to do. He said, all this experimenting that you're doing now, which is how he described Attrition as an experiment, you can do all that later, try to steer it more commercial. So I took it to heart and I came up with that song right there and drop D tuning. I tried to make it a little edgy, like a Seether or a strung out Kurt Cobain, but it is a softer song. I mean, I love Kurt. I love Kurt's music. I think he's underrated, and sad how his life ended. But the song, I'm trying to get it towards radio. It was designed to not completely sacrifice our sound, but to maybe bend in a coached direction from an industry legend. Because Alago is definitely beyond reproach as an industry legend. I mean,
and that's great, because that means you really took to heart his words and his guidance, you know,
Right.
and in this manner. And like I said, the song is beautiful, you know, and again, this one has a little bit more of that melodic sound. You kind of go from a little hard to melodic, a little hard again, you know, and everything. Now when you wrote it though, I mean, like the words and the lyrics and everything like that, what was your meaning behind it? What triggered this particular song to come about? Not just the fact that you were trying to bend something to you know,
Yeah.
a little bit to try to, you know, give a little bit of that, you know, normalcy type of thing that people are used to. But like at the same time, the song came from someplace.
Oh, it came from a real place. Everything I always write's usually written with multiple meanings that can be interpreted by the listener. To me personally, what does it mean? It's about a guy who's lost and he's crying to her, or you know, whoever your significant other is, to show the way. And the way that the significant other is showing it is through physical passion and through wise words and understanding. So they end up in a place at the end where he says he wants to crawl into a hole to burn. Well, that could be taken as sexual healing if you read into it. So it's, you know, it's kind of got a little bit of that in it. And, you know, he really needs her to lead him out. And that's what it's about. She's just helping him out of that dark spot.
Nice. And again, and one of the reasons I like to ask people, you know, before we play the song is because sometimes when you're listening to the song, you might get a certain meaning out of it, you know, but then when you talk to the artist behind the, you know, behind the words, and sometimes the song can change, it can change the meaning of the song of when you find out what the artist had in their heart or what happened to the artist that made this song come about. So then it could make it stronger, you know, or a totally different meaning. So that's why I like to ask about it, you know, so this way we understand like where you're coming from, but when we're listening to it. Okay, so we talked enough about it. So let's go ahead and play it. You know, how's that?
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Now, once again, you're listening to the Dealer News Rock Show on Rockers Edge Radio. We are speaking with two of the members of Look, Hard American Metal Band here. We've got one of their members not here, but they've already mentioned him. Eddie, how do you say the last name? I think I pronounced it wrong earlier.
Helvetti.
Helvetti. Okay, I thought I was pronounced. I'm like Helvetti.
Oh, man.
I will go earlier. But yeah, sorry, Eddie. But yeah, so we got two of the members here. We're going to be playing some of their songs. Again, the debut album is Attrition, but we are playing a separate soundtrack, as you heard him describe it. And this is Burn Me to Gray on Rockers Edge Radio.
Fired up.
could change. Help me with my pain. Bring me back to life. Remind me while we're alive. And burn me to gray. I crawl in this hole to burn. Light me on up and burn me away. Burn me away. Burn me to
Yeah. All right. Now, if you're just tuning in, that was Burn Me to Gray by American heavy metal band Look. And we are speaking with Dave Look and Darren Fitz of the band today, right now. That was fantastic. I love that. I love the sound. Like I said, it went from that hard hit to like that little melodic, so it was just that nice drift. You had a nice drift in between it. It had a great sound to it. I really loved that. And, and of course, we're going to be putting your music into Rockers Edge Radio on rotation. After we do the interviews, we always break that down and place it in rotation. And for the new debut album that you are having right now for Attrition, make sure to go, download Attrition, follow them on all their sites. Make sure to support your local musicians. They really do a lot for us, and it's a lot of work. It's not something that happens overnight. They really put a lot of love and effort and sweat and tears into what they do for us. And so make sure to check out the Attrition, the 13 songs, and you can always send that to us and we'll place that in rotation for Rockers Edge Radio too, so the listeners can listen in and actually hear your music playing randomly as well, so because we'd like to be able to give that platform, for artists to be able to put their music out there, and it gives us music fans that outlet to find new music as well. So it's, again, that yin and that yang, everything comes full circle when it comes down to it. And now there's something a little interesting also, we got a little bit more to talk about, even though we did play the song. Now, Dave here has a little online, little comic book online ongoing series that he's been writing, and I found very interesting. It's a little different. And yeah, I came across it, thought, oh, that's pretty cool. It's like I'm not exactly sure if it's different, story writing and different, like it changes, but the story I read kind of seemed like a little spy thriller, type of story and you place your friends in the stories and it's like a really long saga and people are like really tuning into these stories. Tell me about that. What exactly are you doing with that and how did that come about for you? It's kind of cool.
Thanks for asking. I'm very flattered you brought the stories up. All right. Well, I've taken this band up out of the mud. I mean, that's what we call it, down here on the bottom. We call it the mud. And so I'm trying to Look up out of the mud, and I'm doing it with a very limited budget. So that means you have to either get extremely creative or fail. So I'm thinking, all right, what can I possibly do to bring attention, healthy attention? Because I honestly cannot stand when people are too much of an attention monger. I don't know. The type of people we're talking about. I mean, they're just too much into that. So when I say I want attention, I don't need it for me. I want it for the work. So how can I bring attention to the band? Well, I'm kind of sneaky with writing stories. I knew it from my Dungeons and Dragons days years ago that I used to be the dungeon master, which meant that you spin the story and you tell the story and you captivate the player. So I had the skill set sort of there, and I bumped into it 2 years ago, and I wrote 2 episodes of my first short story called El Diablo es Mios Dios. And it was a supernatural thing that involved some demons and some other type of energies, and it was a detective story.
Oh, okay.
I wrote 2 episodes. Those 2 episodes did fair. and somehow I got pulled away from it. I know a lot of it had to do with going to do attrition, but how Facebook shows you your memories sometimes. Well, they showed me the memory of one of the episodes. And I read it. I saw the problems with it, but I also saw the potential. And I was like, well, okay, I think I want to finish it. So I finished that first story. It did pretty good. Didn't get any real fanfare like the second one. I think you saw the one in the jungle, right?
Yes, the jungle
Okay.
and the plane crash, and I
Right.
saw, where she snuck into the bathroom for a little sneaky pilot, and it got what happened. That why the plane crashed in the jungle.
Yes.
I was
Okay.
I was reading, and
Yes.
I was like, oh, what happens next? What happened to her? Wait a minute.
Everybody
I was
was
getting
like
into
that.
the story.
Yeah, everybody was like that for real, including myself. So yeah, at any rate, I went at the second story with a different level of what I'll call professionalism, self-developed professionalism, because I'm nowhere near that. I'm totally an amateur. So I did the second story much better. I researched it deeply. That's one of the things I get compliments on is the research and how much the facts are very well based, because I'm stickler for facts when it comes to story writing. I mean, I actually researched with the 45 fire, if it was wet, different questions. I don't want to look stupid out there saying something ignorant. So it took off well. And what's really cool about the second story is Michael Hawke. He is the star of Man, Woman, and Wild from the Discovery Channel.
Huh?
And he clued in on the story. And I used his videos as research. He's out there with his wife. Well, I'm out in the jungle with 7 ladies. I mean, it was like perfect research material. So I bought his work, and I absorbed the episodes, and I even have him on right before I write, just to get in the vibe with him. And so I made friends with him. He's now, I call him a personal friend. We're Facebook friends. He's followed the story. And that was so rewarding to have someone on his level clue in and validate that. That was good external validation. That was cool. And I have one of the stars of that story. Her name is Sonia. She's actually a movie star. I don't know what all movies that she's in because I don't pry and dig like that. But she definitely travels all around filming all the time. And she swears that she's not going to stop until this becomes a script.
Great.
She's pushed it up to her producers. She said
Nice.
these names are so large that she wouldn't tell me the names. I believe her too, so we're hoping, hey, if that's it, what if we break as an author and then that helps the band catapult? That's, that was the whole thing.
Right.
Whichever
so
comes
everybody
first.
listening to Rockers Edge Radio and listening to this interview, everybody fingers crossed all at once, do a circle, say a prayer at the same time, and maybe we'll be able to see this, coming up soon, on the big screen. You never know, right? That's fantastic.
Sonia swears.
Like I said, I wanted to touch base on that because that was something different. I felt that was something interesting, happening. And now, so now, we have, we've played the music, we've talked about the album, the new debut album there. Do you have anything coming up? Like, do you have a show or anything like that you'd like to plug? Is there maybe somebody you want to give a shout out to, for, anything they, help you with, or maybe like, for what we were talking about earlier, anybody, in particular that stands out that, maybe went out of their way to help out?
Let's slide over to Darren for just a second, and then I'll wrap it up after him.
Okay.
D, what you thinking? You want to give a shout out to anybody?
I just want to give a shout out to old Eddie there. I'm sure he's busy doing whatever he's doing, and hope he does well. I want to shout out to you, Dave, because I wouldn't do this if you weren't any good. So let's be honest, man. So
Thank you, Darren.
y'all don't knock him. He's not. It's not like I'm like, he's not some trash rubble or something. Trust me. So, but no, it's been good. We have my band, the other band, my main band, the Noctamulet that we're in. We have we were shut down through coronavirus time and everything. So things are starting to pick up a little bit. Like you say, Dave he works with us on that, and we have a mutual understanding with it. So it's really cool. I'm glad that he wants to go. He wants to play live. Me and Eddie have no problem playing live with him and doing it. But like I said, with our band, we have a couple shows coming up. Actually, their festivals are put on by our friend Caesar over there it's one's in New Orleans, and then the other one's going to be in Mississippi. They're
Oh,
one's a
nice,
Friday
in the
night, one's a
South.
Saturday night. So
Nice.
yeah, we're going to be doing that, and then we're also going to be playing down at the Brass Mug in August, which we'll also put some feelers out for Dave because we're thinking about trying to play down there a little bit later in the year. So that kind of thing's going on. So that's what I want to say right now and plug.
Very cool,
Super.
very cool. All right, and let's kick it back up to Dave. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to, and anything before we close out and let people know where they can follow you on all your sites and stuff?
I'll give a shout out to my mom and my stepdad. I love you guys. And a big thanks to my producer right here for allowing this interview to happen in our studio, because I'm not real technically savvy. As a matter of fact, I'm way backwards on it. So I lean on everyone around me, and I promise I don't mean to, but thank you all so much for your help with the technology. I just got my first smartphone just a few months ago. I mean, I'm way back there, okay? But no, thank you for letting this happen. And thank you for the band for adopting me and putting me into what I felt was artist development. And I'm not ashamed to say that. I mean, I came in so raw. I was a big giant diamond, but I was not cut at all. And so it just, with them cutting on me like this and continuing to cut, it allows those facets to shine. And I owe that to them forever. And, just love everybody. And thanks for having us. We're from the
Awesome.
Florida-Georgia line, and we do got that swampiness in our sound.
Nice, nice. Hey, you know what? I like the Southern twang put in there. I really do. I love a lot of the bands that come from the South. They put that little Southern touch in that rock, and it gives it just enough of a difference that you draw to it, so it's fantastic. I think everything you're doing is great. The music is great. So please make sure everyone to check out the band Look. Make sure to check out also Dave, Dave Look for his ongoing series, for his comic books writing series and stuff. And hopefully we'll see that on the big screen. I am a writer, so it was very intriguing for myself, so I read through it. I thought it was fantastic. Make sure to follow them, all their sites. What sites can we find you on where we can find your music?
Anybody that can come to my Facebook page and check stuff out. We're on Instagram. Our album's for sale on Bandcamp and Spotify. And we're trying to move into all the other platforms. We just recently got Misty on board as our internet manager, and she's moving quickly in all directions. So we'll have more, but for now, those are all good ways to link up with us.
Nice, nice. So once again, you were listening to the Daily News Rock Show on Rockers Edge Radio and also on Chaotic Radio. We were speaking with frontman vocalist Dave Look and also drummer producer Darren Fitz from the American metal band Look. We were talking about their debut album, Attrition. They have a 13-song album out called Attrition now. It just dropped January 2021. That was not that long ago. So make sure to go to their sites, check out their songs. We have listened to the songs. I love the songs. Today we did feature something different. We featured one of their separate soundtracks. We featured Burn Me to Grave, which is beautiful. It's a beautiful song. Sad, but still beautiful. But, there's always a little beauty in sadness, I think, for me. Because there's, you can't just have it all one way, and sometimes that tragedy sound brings out emotions that are really connectable to a lot of people. And I kind of felt a little bit like that with the song because it just felt like, oh, and then after you gave the description of what it's about, and like, someone looking to that significant other, someone please help me out of this hole, then it gives a little bit more meaning like, oh, wow, it's connectable. So please make sure to check it out. Check out their new songs. Check out their videos. They do have a few videos for some of these songs, including what was it? General Zen. No, it was
Gangster Zen.
Gangster Zen. I'm sorry, Gangster Zen. So they've got a little video for that. They've got a few other little, snippet videos here and there for some other ones. I saw one called Hey, Are You There? A little video about that, So just make sure to follow them on all of their sites. And support your local musicians and make sure to follow and check out the shows that Darren mentioned, that they have coming up, and show your love for your musicians out there. Thanks so much for tuning in to Daily News Rock Show on Rockers Edge Radio, everyone. And make sure, come back for more.
Thank you, Miss Dilly. We love you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
For
Have
real.
a great one, everyone.
Good
Thanks.
night, sweet pea.
Bye.
Good night, Darren. Thank you for coming.
All right. Yes, sir.
Talk to you later,
Thanks
brother.
for having me.